So we're having an FJ chat with Gray Paterson, who's Chief Executive of Apprenticeship Training Trust, ATT. Known Gray for a number of years. I'm going back through, but I wanted him to tell us a little bit about ATT because I think it's a great story, and it's a great New Zealand story about what these guys are doing for parts of the economy. So Gray, firstly, welcome, and perhaps you could introduce a little bit about ATT and what it does.
Well, ATT by definition is actually a group training organisation, and it's been formed for 25 years. And the simple principle of it is that we actually employ apprentices, and we put them into host businesses, and we take care of everything. We manage them through the apprenticeship. We get them, through all their educational training, both at PTEs and in the business itself. And throughout that whole period, they remain our employees. So we take care of absolutely everything.
So they're on site, but they're actually
on site, but they belong to us effectively. So we are the employer. So
what's happened over that period? Because there was lots of talk, sort of the apprenticeships have gone, etc., and what's happened to the good old days. So what's happening in that movement? Are they coming back, or?
Well, I think so. And the government had its reboot subsidy in 2012, 13, and part of 14. Our apprentice numbers in the last 5 years will have trebled, and that's mainly because of what we've done in our own business with a sales and marketing front end. But apprentice numbers in New Zealand in the PGDR and electrical sector this year will rise by 10% real. So apprenticeships are very much a part of industry, and when you see the amount of growth that's taking places in cities like Auckland, there's going to be a tremendous shortage of tradespeople, so apprenticeships are very much in vogue again, that's for sure.
Do you have those sort of powerhouses like we notice, for instance, in the work that we do, the powerhouses, Auckland and Christchurch because of the rebuild? Do you have the same thing in terms of ATT?
Well, the Auckland market is by far and away the biggest growth for us, but our numbers in Christchurch have trebled also. But we're doing very well in regional New Zealand. So there is a flow-on effect around the country. I think there is a buoyancy out there. And because of the need to invest a year ahead, if you're taking on apprentices in terms of when they contribute, there's a growing, I think, sense around New Zealand that there's a requirement to build, quality tradespeople, and we help do that.
I suppose there's a confidence argument. I heard, the moving on from, the rock star economy to maybe, I think Bernard Hickey or ANZ were commenting about where the Goldilocks economy, not too hot to be inflationary, not too cold to be recessionary, but maybe sort of just right. And maybe just right gives people confidence to make those sort of decisions.
Yes, it does. And I think if you have a look at the period, say, the last 18 months, preceding that, there were some good months and then a slip back. And more recently, it's become consistent. So I think there's a consistency about the economy. I'm not sure that it's bullish, but there's enough happening that people are taking a view that they can invest in. Apprenticeships are an investment, for sure.
I was going to say, that's right, because you're actually investing ahead of the curve in a sense, because you can't just drop them off, you've got to take them on through the process. So for you, who've been involved in a number of businesses in terms of different sectors, what's it like being involved in sort of the trades in this sector?
Well, I've got to be honest and say that the way it's worked out is probably quite different to what I expected when I started 4.5 years ago, but in a word, this is a cool business. And the reason for that are twofold. Firstly, it's a charitable trust, so we have no shareholders, we pay no dividends. I'm required to generate significant surpluses, and every piece of that surplus goes back into getting more young New Zealanders into work. So that in itself is...
What's not to like about that?
That's a nice thing to do. We've got a really commercial, growth-focused board, which adds real value to the business. And the culture that we've established it's KPI-driven, it's performance-focused, and yet it's got a very strong family background. So for me, at once we are doing something really worthwhile, but in a really growth, go-ahead focus that suits what I do. So it's a little bit best of both worlds, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, without sort of over-aggrandising it, it's nice to feel like you're involved in a business that's putting something back into the economy. And these kids are all, they're the pyramids that are actually going to things that get built upon.
And I think the other thing is because of the charitable trust status and what happens to surpluses, we're a natural fit with government, we're a natural fit with the ITOs because we're no threat to them, because our motives are pure, our motives fit with, if a government that wants to get more young Kiwis working, we're a natural partner. So we're a natural partner with iwi. So there's many projects going on in our business that will assist us to grow further in the future. So it's a really exciting role, to be honest.
Well, with that sort of platform, I guess is there a temptation to say, "Wow, we could do this," and maybe overreach yourself a bit? I mean, what's the vision of the trust?
Well, we will roll over 300 apprentices any day soon, which is the most we've had. We're the single biggest employer of apprentices in the plumbing sector in New Zealand. We've got about a 20% market share, which is growing. And this year we've released our electrical apprentice division, and that's a sector that's twice the size of plumbing. So if we end up with the same share in that sector, we'll have around 900 to 1,000 apprentices, and that's a very significant business.
Yeah.
And they're all employees.
And attached to you emotionally, if not financially, as well as employees, in terms of you gave them the chance.
Yes, and I think, in the simplest language, people ask what a group training organisation does, and really, we're not the educator. We buy the education effectively, but we take them through all the hurdles and all the mountains that they cross, not only in terms of their personalities and their growth as young people, but issues around the host businesses that they are placed in from time to time, constant issues around the education sector. Our role is to take them from the start to the end so that they come out with a piece of paper that says, "I'm a qualified tradesman and I can take my place as a quality tradesperson in New Zealand." So that, in essence, is what we do.
Do they get a belt?
Well, they get a whole lot of things, but they don't get a belt, I don't think. So, but they do get a whole lot of things.
I've always wanted a work belt. You got to know, every bloke wants a work belt, really.
They get a lot of health and safety gear these days.
I'm sure they do. Hey, look, thanks for that. I just really wanted to catch up and sort of see, because we know the good work that you guys do. And congratulations, it's great fun.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.